Hello. I wear this shirt like twice a week. I feel like I've worn it like 8 times in this series.
You are about to enter the courtroom of the Honorable Judge KennieJD. Does she have any movie critic experience? No. Does she have any authority? No. But they gave her a show anyways. The movies are bad. The cases are good. The rulings are final. This is in defense of...
Hi, it's Kendo here, and welcome to In Defense of, a More Butter production. I am your host, KennieJD, and I am here to let you know the judgment on whether or not movies that did really bad in the box office or got really bad ratings actually deserved it. Ayo. And welcome back to season 2. I was super excited that everybody really enjoyed the first season. It was a fun time. It was a great way to discover new movies, some gems, some things that were always in the garbage and deserved to stay there. And we are back to mosey more into movies that didn't get their flowers and deciding whether or not they deserve them. And today we'll be ruling over a movie that I never heard of, which is weird because it's not very old and it has people that I would kind of be aware of would be in film. Today we're talking about Jupiter Ascending, which I keep wanting to say Jupiter Rising, astrology girl. But so last time we were here, I think the last movie we talked about... What was the last movie we talked about? Vanilla Sky. Oh yes. Oh yes. A movie that has deeply perplexed me. I can't talk today. A movie that has deeply perplexed me since my viewing. I have also watched Open Your Eyes a few times since that. I really like that movie. And I tried to watch Vanilla Sky again. Not good. It's just not very good, but it's entertaining. It's almost good. It could have been good. It was good adjacent. Good with a remix. Bad with a new instrumental. I don't know. But if you would like to check that out, that's on the More Butter channel, as well as just the whole first season. So if you want to know what we've been up to up until this point, that is all there in a playlist on the More Butter channel. Speaking of which, subscribe to More Butter here on the channel if you would like to keep up with what we're doing here. Also, if you would like to listen to In Defense of as an audio podcast, you can listen to it on Spotify or anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. So today, again, we're looking at the case of Jupiter Ascending. Jupiter Ascending is a 2015 space opera film. News to me. I watched it. Space opera. Okay. Directed and co-produced by the Wachowskis. Wachowskis. With Channing Tatum, who plays Cain, Mila Kunis, who plays Jupiter, Eddie Redmayne, Bellum, Sean Bean as Stinger, and Douglas Booth as Titus. One could kind of describe the style as something akin to like a mixture of Star Wars and The Matrix-ish, with maybe a little bit of Hunger Games and a dash of romance. Which sounds like theoretically a good idea, but not so much. It was criticized for bad writing, a lack of character development, and some of the performances in general just seemed to be very odd. I would also add that there feels like an element of miscasting as well for this film. Spoiler, I never really think of Mila Kunis as someone I would inherently hire for a role like this. And I'm trying to look internally, like, why is that? Because I was like, do I just assume that someone like in their earlier 20s would do a role like this? Is this sexist, ageist, like going on? But also just her acting style, I don't feel like worked very well for this movie. So I'm looking inward to my own internalized biases, and I'll get back to you later. But also the movie itself is just bad. So I guess we can muse over whether or not, if it were not Mila Kunis, it would have been better. No, it was just bad. It was a bad movie, just overall. I don't think there's a lot more she could have did better for it, but I still think it would have been marginally better with somebody else. Now, the movie ended up making about $183 million internationally. But depending on how you look at the budget for the film itself and the money for the marketing of the film, it ended up losing, give or take, $30 million in the process. So, great money investment. We make good investments here. And according to critics and audiences alike, the movie sucked. 28% on the tomato meter for critics and 38% for audiences. Spoiler, I agree. It's not good. It's very not good. For reasons that are its fault and also my fault. And I'll get to what that means in a second. So, some of the main reviews of the film from Brent McKnight said, "No amount of visual pyrotechnics, no matter how spectacular, can save such a tired, weak story." Fair. Jason Bailey from Flavor Wire: "The storytelling is clumsy, the characters are befuddling, and the Wachowskis and the Wachowskis, ooh, y'all don't deserve this. Y'all don't deserve this. Hold on. Wachowski. Okay, I'm right. That's embarrassing. Wachowski. That's what it looked like. I just can't read, I guess. Okay. And the Wachowskis' action sequences, once so graceful and thrilling, are so ugly, noisy, and worst of all, boring." Fair. "Aggressively dull and terribly paced." From Chris Oh, hey, it's the Stuckmeister. Chris Stuckman. I love Chris Stuckman. You've been stigmatized. Okay. Monica Costello, International Business Times, said, "Director Lena and Andy Wachowski excel at creating fantastic new worlds lurking under the surface of our own. But in Jennifer Ascending, they've overstuffed the turkey with too many tangents and false endings." "Where were the Guardians of the Galaxy when you needed them?" says Richard Roper from Chicago Sun-Times. "If only they had prevented the disastrous atrocity that is Jupiter Ascending." Have I been saying Jennifer Ascending? I have period brain right now, okay? I don't feel like... Shut up. "From infiltrating Earth's movie theaters before it was too late." Today's episode is sponsored by our friends over at Cometeer. Cometeer curates coffee, that was a lot of C's at one time, and prepares them flash frozen to lock in freshness. That was also a lot of F's. Okay. It's a completely new and innovative format for coffee that makes it more convenient, more delicious, and introduces you to new flavor profiles. You can have monthly shipments delivered straight to your doorstep with any of your favorite flavor profiles, whether that be light, medium, dark, decaf. It's super easy to prepare, either hot or cold. If you're doing hot, all you have to do is get the frozen puck out of the aluminum can, put it in your cup, and pour hot water over that in your favorite mug, and then you're ready to go. And if you want to do it cold, just put it in the refrigerator to melt the puck, and then you can have it on top of cold water over ice if you so choose. I am an iced person, so I just put a puck in the refrigerator last night, and you're able to do it that way. But if you're pressed for time, feel free to just run it under warm water in the sink and then just pour it over ice water and you're good to go. Feel free to dress it with whatever creamer or sweeteners that you usually use. Sometimes I like to put protein powder in it because a protein coffee is delicious. And also it makes you feel like you're kind of being healthy. I mean, it is protein, nutrients. Okay, and at $2 a cup, it saves you money without sacrificing quality. So if you would like to check out Cometeer for a very limited time, Cometeer is offering a huge discount of 40% off your first purchase, plus free shipping when you use code MORE40 at cometeer.com/morebutter. So feel free to check out that link down in the description box. And big thanks again to Cometeer for sponsoring today's episode. From the streets of Chicago to far-flung galaxies whirling through space, Jupiter Ascending is a science fiction epic adventure that follows the downtrodden Jennifer. I keep wanting to call her Jennifer, because who the hell's name is Jupiter? Okay, Jupiter Jones, played by Mila Kunis, who's destined for greatness when a genetically engineered ex-military hunter, Kane, who's played by Channing Tatum, she gets a glimpse of the fate that has been waiting for her all along. Her genetic signature marking her as next in line for an extraordinary inheritance that could alter the balance of the cosmos. Lily and Lana Wachowski, who does the Matrix films, and Cloud Atlas take us on another visionary journey into the unknown. Also starring the other people that I said already. This sci-fi thrill ride will expand your universe. The battle of our own world begins with her. Let me be very frank with you. Again, I watched this movie from start to finish with only minor distractions. I don't know what this movie is really about. And I struggled with whether or not even doing a video on it, because I'm like, am I just stupid? Like, I've said this before, I don't tend to really get sci-fi as a genre. I think, not that this is important, I suspect that I might have ADHD. I want to get the actual full-on testing, but the last time I looked at it, it was $4,800 to get a test, and I was like, I'll just figure it out. It makes me kooky, it makes me quirky. Can't stay on task very well, but you know, it gives me a little bit of like an edge. Me saucy. Sorry. With that said, something about sci-fi is very distracting to me. Like there's something about the element and the genre of sci-fi in which you just bring in a bunch of different like esoteric kind of new made worlds and new made rules of, you know, canons that all have to do with this particular unfamiliar and science fiction-y landscape that is very hard for me to even wrap my head around a lot of times, and that's always been like a big issue with me in sci-fi. I guess I just more prefer things that are more down to earth, but just a good story in their realism. That again might be just because like I'm sitting there trying to figure out what's happening, but also like not just what's happening, what am I looking at, but also how what I'm looking at fits into the canon of the story. And that's a lot of sensory overload. So so what I'm saying is I watched the movie and my brain like clocked out for most of it. So we're gonna go to our friends over at Wikipedia and read the plot. So, and with a Kindle sauciness on it, because you didn't just click on this podcast to listen to me read a plot, but that's what you about to get. And maybe I'll figure out what this movie is about along the way. But see, this is the shit I'm talking about. This is the first sentence. Earth and countless other planets were established by families of transhuman. Now, if I can't even blame that on them, I can't read. Okay. Families of transhuman and alien royal. What is a transhuman? Other than like a human who is trans? No? Okay. Apparently, transhuman is the concept of an intermediary form between human and post-human. What does that mean? In other worlds, a transhuman is a being that resembles a human in most respects, but who has powers and abilities beyond those of standard humans. Okay. All right. Family of transhumans and alien royalty for the purpose of harvesting the resulting organisms to produce a youth serum for the elites on other planets. That's a lot of words to just say that there's these. Okay, so there's aliens, right? And these aliens are more intelligent than us. This is what I got from the movie, okay? And they're going to planet to harvest like resources in order to make serum so that they don't die. These aliens are like thousands and thousands of years old and they still look relatively young. But there's like a monarchy with siblings essentially who are fighting for power and also fighting for the resources to continue to find and procure this youth serum. Okay, I did get that much. After the death of the matriarch of the House of Abrazix, the most powerful of the alien dynasties, her children Balaam, Kalik, and Titus quarrel over the inheritance, with Balaam inheriting an enormous refinery of Jupiter. Now, within this wide and winding kind of war of resources in the cosmos, in the middle of this little place called Earth lives Jupiter Jones, who I keep wanting to call Jennifer. like my brain wants to call her Jennifer so bad. Jupiter. She's born in St. Petersburg, Russia. And her mother end up moving to Chicago when she's very young after her father was killed in a robbery at their home. And they decide to name her Jupiter after his favorite planet. He was not an astrologer, the other one that studies the stars. Astronomer. Close. Jupiter grows up in a very, very modest living situation. She works essentially as like a maid at wealthy people's homes, a housekeeper. Her and her mother do this together. She doesn't have much money, but she wants to buy a telescope, and one of her family members actually encourages her to sell her eggs in order to make some money to do that. And she ends up giving a fake name. She ends up giving like a friend or like a neighbor's name so that no one will know it's her. I don't know how that works, because don't they need your like information? But okay, whatever. One day while she's over that friend's house, a bunch of aliens come, and she's like, what's happening? And they're like testing the friend to see if she's someone, apparently, and she's not them. And then they go up to Jupiter and shock her so that that everything kind of goes back to normal, very like Men in Black, boo boo, you didn't see nothing. But before her memory got erased, Jupiter still had a photo of the aliens, because that was her first thought, was to take photos of the aliens before, like, not run, because what the fuck. She was like, yeah, let me take this photo of some aliens. So now that she doesn't remember the incident, she's like, I see aliens on my phone. Where did the alien picture come from? But anyway, she goes to the egg donation clinic, and there she realizes that all the doctors doing her procedure are actually alien. And they test her, find out that she's the one they're looking for, and try to kill her. But then here come fucking Channing Tatum. Again, his name is like Kane or something. He's such a distinctive face. Like, you can't not see Channing Tatum as Channing Tatum, but he comes in and destroys all the aliens. Now, I'm gonna have to read myself why he was there, because the whole movie I was like, huh? Like, where did he come from? Like, who hired you? But okay, hopefully they'll tell me. He's a former soldier sent by Titus, okay, to bring her to him. There's a lot of action and a lot of lights. At some point we see that Kane has boots that let him skate on the air. You can tell that they put a lot of money, again, into like the effects of the movie, the visuals of the movie. And that's the only thing that's any good about this film, because structurally, narratively, it's bad. Everyone's acting is terrible. So after they're able to escape the aliens, Kane takes Jupiter to a hideout with a man who he apparently knows already. Apparently they have bad blood, betrayed him or something, but he's a former soldier living on Earth. But when Jupiter gets there, they're on like a field or like a farm or something, and there's like a bunch of bees. And they find out that she can control the bees. But basically he's like, bees can tell your royalty, so that's why they respect you, which is such a funny thing to say. Because it's like, you have queen blood. It's biologically in you. So much so that nature itself sees you as queen. It's like, girl, okay. And not at all very human power structure or nepotism, but anyway. She's like inherently galactic royalty. The ex-soldier decides to help because she is royalty after all. And but she's captured by a group of hunters who are working with one of the other siblings, Balaam. And Balaam, if I'm not mistaken, is that one that always sounds like he needs a throat lozenge. He has the most off-putting voice, and he always has this very strained face. And sometimes in even like tense situation, he still talks like that. And then he'll randomly scream, which is effectively terrifying when you're always talking like this. Why don't you know who you are, queen? Get out now! I was like, hey, so if you can do it, you can do it. Someone give this man a Ricola so we can get quicker on the dialogue, man. Also, I find it really funny that y'all are on these like eons ahead of us. You have youth serums, you have all this galactic technology, but y'all have not invented throat lozenges and lip balm. So, but anyway, Jupiter ends up being captured by the siblings. Khalik explains that Jupiter is genetically identical to their dead mother, the dead matriarch, and therefore is Earth's rightful owner. Kane is able to retrieve her again and takes her to the intergalactical capital planet Ores to claim her inheritance. See, okay, so this I'm relying on. I'm relying on the plot summary, because by the time they got here, they lost me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, so in another attempt to get Jupiter back, Balaam decides to kidnap Jupiter's family as ransom, and she's kidnapped again by the alien peoples. I think this time by Titus's people, and they detain Kane as punishment for not bringing Jupiter to him as he was paid to do so and was told to do so. And basically what Titus's plan is to marry the woman who looks exactly like his dead mom so that he can kill her and claim Earth as his rightful item. Mommy issues. You got mommy issues. Someone tell Freud he was on to something. And I wish it wasn't true. So he goes to Jupiter, telling her that he wants to marry her and he wants to dismantle the youth serum trade and keep Jupiter safe, because the resource, quote unquote, of youth is just killing people. They're just killing everybody. Kane is able to escape, and he's able to save Jupiter at the altar before she gets married. And that's when Jupiter learns that her family has been taken hostage by Balaam. So they go to the refinery where they make the youth serum, I think, and Balaam demands Earth in return for Jupiter's family. Realizing that Balaam cannot harvest, quote unquote, Earth without her permission, Jupiter refuses. And then I just get real confused. There's a fight. I think Kane does something to destroy the refinery, and then the crew that Kane came in with helps to rescue Jupiter's family. And then there's like a high tension, them trying to get out of zero gravity to escape the refinery and go back to Earth. It's very, very confusing. I didn't know what the fuck was going on by that point. But they open up a portal and go back home and everybody's safe. And then by the end of it, for some reason, Kane and Jupiter are in love. I forgot. I didn't even mention the part where he's part wolf. Because we'll never get to the end. There was that part too. She was like, I love you, for some reason, because at that point not enough had happened, and he was like, I'm closer to a dog than I am to you, your highness. And she's like, I love dogs. And I'm like, what? How do you love dogs? Anyway, that's the movie, by the way. Just terrible. Final verdict. This movie sucked, dude. It was really bad. It gave me a headache to look at, but also to listen to. As you've seen, I didn't even know what the movie, like 2/3 of the movie was about unless I read the synopsis. It's incredibly confusing, very distracting to look at, and the acting itself is terrible. And it's people that can act. It's people who've acted pretty decent in other things. I don't know if this is just not their strong point, so it kind of showed in that way. This movie is very guilty. Garbage. It's bad. So that's all for today, folks. If you like this video, feel free to like it. Comment down below if you've seen Jupiter. I want to call her Jennifer. Jupiter Ascending. And let me know what you thought about it. Maybe if you're more of a sci-fi fan. I'm curious, like within the, well, no, apparently nobody liked this movie, but I do want to know if people don't like it because it's sci-fi and woman-led. I don't think that's fair. But it is a bad movie. But in my opinion, most sci-fi movies are pretty bad and confusing. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. Anyway, feel free to follow us on More Butter, Spotify if you want to listen to us as a podcast, or any other place that you listen to us for a podcast. Give it 5 stars, like it, drive that engagement up so that we can continue to grow this amazing community. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.